What's going on, guys? Hope you're all doing well. Now for today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the new live-action Japanese Godzilla movie on the way from Toho, Godzilla Minus One, which is due out in just a few months' time later on this year. Now, there has already been a ton of stuff discussed about this thing online, but I kind of want to help clear some things up and add to what's already been said in order to really set the tone for what we can all expect in November and December this year. Because this movie in particular sounds like something really cool as far as Godzilla goes. So first things first, there was actually a retraction that Forbes had to do in relation to this movie and its continuity. To put it simply, when the Godzilla Minus One teaser first dropped, the website wrote something along the lines of, "This film is going to share continuity with Shin Godzilla, believe it or not." And I actually saw this article while I was making the first video I did on the trailer reveal, and before it went live, I had to cut a bunch of my own speculation on the film out due to it being retracted. Well, I have no idea how they're gonna pull off the movie being in continuity with Shin though, because it looks like a lot of people saw Godzilla squash a whole bunch of Japanese guys running around in the 50s or 40s, so it's like, wait, how did nobody expect it to come back like all those years later, and how did they not know what it is? So yeah, in short though, what seems to really be going on here is that this movie is simply following up on Shin Godzilla, or inspired by Shin Godzilla, which is something you could say of any other movie. Like Fallen Kingdom was inspired by The Lost World. Indiana Jones was inspired by those old serials from the 1930s and 40s, or even that Return of Godzilla was inspired by the 1954 original Godzilla. You know, it was just kind of a saying to help articulate to the audience where some of these themes and filmmaking techniques are going to be coming from. So as far as the movie itself goes, well, here's what we officially know. Godzilla Minus One is a new movie written and directed by Takashita Yamazaki. The plot basically revolves around an already devastated post-war Japan facing a new threat in the form of Godzilla. It's dealing with the outcome of the atomic bombs that dropped during World War II, and during their rebuilding of the whole country, the King of the Monsters shows up, so you can already tell that it's kind of going for a remake of the 1954 original in some sense. Which is interesting because that's kind of what Shin Godzilla was, only in a contemporary way. So I guess a way to describe it in King Kong terms is Shin Godzilla was the modern 1976 remake, while Minus One is the more faithful Peter Jackson redo from 2005. Or at least that's how my mind is describing it right now. Now, the director spoke on the film with the following comments. Post-war Japan has lost everything. The film depicts an existence that gives unprecedented despair. The title Godzilla Minus One was created with this in mind. In order to depict this, the staff and I have worked together to create a setting where Godzilla looks as if fear itself is walking towards us, and where despair is piled on top of despair. I think this is the culmination of all the films I have made to date, and one that deserves to be experienced rather than watched in the theater. I hope you will experience the most terrifying Godzilla in the best possible environment. Now, that is something very interesting to say. So it looks like they are really trying to hype this movie up as the most terrifying incarnation of a Godzilla story that they could come up with, and that it's supposed to be a movie full of devastation and despair. That sounds an awful lot like what the 1954 original did, so I gotta say I am really liking where this is all going so far. Now, as for Godzilla himself, this actually isn't the first time the director has used him in a movie before. Way back in 2007, Takashita Yamazaki used Godzilla in a cameo for the movie Always, Sunset on 3rd Street 2, where the monster appeared in a dream sequence. And he also used the monster in the short film I'm sure many Americans haven't seen just yet, called Godzilla the Ride, Giant Monsters Ultimate Battle from 2 years ago, which was basically a short film created for an amusement park ride. So yeah, it's pretty cool, man. They got some cool redesigns of the classic monsters. Godzilla's not alone. Rodan and King Ghidorah were there too. Now, the look of Godzilla here is extremely fun in my opinion, and I think I like the teeth of the monster the most. When I made my video on how Godzilla looks in the teaser reveal, I mentioned that he looks like a combination of the MonsterVerse version and Shin Godzilla looks, but also reminded me the most of the Heisei Godzilla. I used Return of Godzilla as like the one that was coming to mind, which ironically, that's exactly how he's described in the trivia section of the Wikizilla article on the short film. Albeit they're also saying that this movie follows up on Shin Godzilla, so I'm sure that it's a little different to what's sold solely in the ride's design as well. It looks pretty similar to that though. Personally, I'm looking forward to this movie the most out of the new projects that are coming out for the monster. How it will rank alongside everything else is anyone's guess right now, but this is what we know about the movie so far from official sources. Anyways, guys, those are all just my own thoughts and opinions on Godzilla Minus One. There's been some miscommunication with how this film fits into all of the other ones, but it does have a lot of backstory and history that's already been established in designs and even remakes and reimaginings of previous incarnations of the monster. Now, I'd love to hear what all of you guys think about this project. Are you excited to see Godzilla Minus One? How do you think it's going to stack up in comparison to the original or even Shin Godzilla or the MonsterVerse stuff? And is this the kind of Godzilla movie you really like to see? Look, they've done so much recently from Toho, little short films here and there. I am really enjoying this. I'll say one thing, I would love to get a new continuity like the Heisei series where they introduced new monsters for Godzilla to fight each year or so, because I think it just sounds cool to me. It's something I want to watch with the same characters returning back for more stuff. I don't know, I'm a Heisei fan, but whatever your own thoughts and opinions are on Godzilla Minus One and how much you're like excited to see it compared to Godzilla and Kong the New Empire, I'd love to hear all about that stuff in the comments down below.